I finally found the perfect Nightmare Knight costume. I will dress up as a being that might be older than Celestia, a freaky mutant gifted with wisdom, a being brought to existence by powerful magic. Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, I will show you. It's good to be helping. Nightmare Knight, a holiday created to remind us that Princess Luna once was a terrible monster. But this episode has nothing to do with our beloved Princess of the Night, as it focuses on Fluttershy and her fear of this holiday. And that's my biggest problem with the episode. I think Fluttershy's fear is ridiculous. Yeah, Fluttershy is easily scared, and the fact that she barricades herself at home during Nightmare Night is something established back in Season 2, but I think it's an unnecessary flanderization of her character. The weird thing is, this episode also shows how much she has grown since then. You see, it's the first time she actually tries to overcome her insecurities by herself. Usually she avoids to do everything she is uncomfortable with unless she is actively being forced to do it or has some sort of realization. But here a friendly chat with Spike is enough to convince her to give Nightmare Knight at least a try. By the way, I think Spike was really sweet during that scene, one of his better portrayals this season, and a kind reminder that I actually liked Spike. So, we have flanderization and acknowledgement of character development at the same time. That's paradoxical and makes this episode a little bit hard to judge. I really love that she actively tries to overcome her fear, but I really dislike how she is scared to ridiculous extremes by pretty much everything. The idea that Fluttershy takes on the role to scare her friends is an interesting concept, but I think it would have been better if her tea party would have been actually scary.
What are those?
Those are ponyfied anime characters, Dashi. First we have Ranma from Ranma 1/2, Bulma from Dragon Ball, I have no clue who that's supposed to be, Rei from Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Sailor Moon from, you probably guessed it, Sailor Moon. She seems to be pretty popular in Equestria. There was a filly in a Sailor Moon costume earlier this episode, and I guess Otaku-shy is a thing now. And now that I think about it, this would explain her sewing skills. She is actually into cosplay. Wait a minute. Rei from Neon Genesis Evangelion? Fluttershy is not only an otaku? No, she is into the disturbing stuff. Either that or she pretends to like the show even though she never watched it. You know, like half the internet does. FYI, the 4th of October 2015 was actually the 20th anniversary of Neon Genesis Evangelion. More you know. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. As someone who gets the reference, I appreciate it to a certain degree, but 5 anime references at once is maybe a little bit too much, especially as those cardboards are a little bit too much in your face. The Sailor Moon pony earlier this episode was a subtle Easter egg, but this is a reference joke a lot of people will fail to understand, especially the middle one. Seriously, who is that? Well, while Fluttershy is about to give up after a tea party failed to scare any pony, she is encouraged by Angel Bunny to give it another try, and I'm a little bit conflicted here too. Should I be happy that Angel is actually somewhat supportive, or worried, as he is apparently the one who came up with all the scary stuff seen in this episode climax? Just look at his face, as if we needed any more proof that this bunny is evil incarnated. The whole May scene was really well presented, as I really believe that everything that happens is indeed terrifying for our heroines, while the audience can still get a good chuckle out of it. But perhaps the biggest strong point of this episode is its visual presentation. Usually I don't talk too much about this, but here it really makes the episode. It succeeds to give this episode a spooky flair. Seriously, just look at Twilight's castle, that thing looks like a freaking villain's lair. And look at all the different costumes in this episode. They just seem to be more diverse and creative in designs than in Lunar Eclipse. And with Crusaders of the Lost Mark in mind, thank Celestia that those 3 wear costumes that cover up their cutie marks. I watched this episode the very day it was leaked. Really dodged a bullet there. Anyway, it was also nice to see Flutterbit again, even though it was only a costume. And now let's talk about the morale.
We do lots of fun things together, but I'm afraid this just isn't gonna be one of them. Actually, I'm not afraid. I'm perfectly fine with it. Then we are too.
It's a pretty solid one. You don't have to force yourself to do things you hate just to spend more time with your friends, and it does work quite nice in context. However, I think this episode focused a little bit too much on the whole overcoming the fear part. She concluded that she does not like to scare her friends, but the problem remains that she is still afraid of everything herself for no apparent reason. As I said earlier, while Fluttershy is easily scared, it is taken to ridiculous extremes in this episode, so it's not an entirely needed lesson, but this episode pretends as if it's going to teach it anyway, only to change its mind. Okay, let's wrap things up. Overall, I liked this episode, where I really enjoyed Fluttershy's attempt to overcome a fear the fear itself bugged me to no end. But this episode managed to make me chuckle a couple of times, and that's always a good thing. And last but not least, I really loved the look of this episode. From the use of light and shadow to pretty much every costume, including the Jason pony and Princess Derby Sparkle. But what about you? Did you like this episode? Anything that bothered you? Should they include more anime references in the future? Let me know in the comments. I am Tricky Fox and not Dr. Wolf, but I still look forward to hearing from you.